In just one golf lesson, my student fixed his Shanks and gained 47 yards with just a 7-iron. So for those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Harry, PGA professional, transforming golfers worldwide. Why not hit the subscribe button so you stay tuned with all the content coming your way every Tuesday and Friday, and drop a comment as well below with a tips or drills topic you'd like me to cover in a future video. To begin with, let me show you the swing from beforehand. This video on the screen over to the right hand side right now. And what you'll notice from this video here is that we'll have the swing, the posture and setup is a little bit too close. We have the tendency of swinging a little bit underplaying like this here, where the club goes behind the hands when it reaches parallel to the ground in this position here. Relatively short backswing due to us being very connected on the way back, arms staying very close to us here. Then they stay very close on the way through. We're firing the hips really nicely, getting a little bit almost close to the heart. The arms get a bit close to the body, and then we push the club out and end up hitting the hosel side of the club. So the first thing that we wanted to look into changing in the lesson was working on the posture and setup. The first thing I told my student, Dan, was to stand a little bit further away from the golf ball, just to help him set up with more room to make solid contact with that golf ball. The next thing we had a look at was the actual swing itself. How can we start this actual golf swing off? And this was to do with calming down this inside takeaway move. Although the positioning of the club was great, the nice solid arms taking the club back in position, this was just encouraging the start up. It was almost like the starter of causing this low, rounded swing path. And for Dan, as opposed to reacting and pushing the club out, he even said he hasn't got any more room to bring the club further down. So as we come down into the golf ball like this here, the arms get a little bit too close, get a bit stuck, and then we have to push them out in the first place. So the first trigger to be able to stop those shanks and improve the ball striking, that was the whole aim of the session, just to improve the ball striking, was to be able to improve that first part of the golf swing. So what I got Dan doing was taking the alignment stick and placing it on the left side of the grip, him being a right-handed player, majority of the stick hanging away from us like this here. And we just placed it on the left-hand side of his body like this here. And just to begin with, I got him to feel what he would usually do. Well, he felt what he would usually do. And I explained that if he does his usual backswing, this alignment stick would eventually touch both of his legs like this here. It touches his right leg as well as we took the club back far on the inside like this. Just like this here, under the plane. So what I got Dan feeling was just trying to encourage this takeaway move like this here, keeping the hands relatively close still, pushing the club further out and away from us, but the alignment stick can only touch the lead leg at all times, just throughout that swing there. Just setting the club upwards like so, rather than getting all tense and forcing the club under. To Dan, it felt like he was just relaxing the wrist a little bit more, hinging them a little bit earlier to help set the club slightly more on the outside, the feeling of the outside. And because he's so used to just getting this inside takeaway, I explained to him that we had to feel almost the opposite to try and find a way in the middle. Rather than going and aiming straight for the middle like this here, we had to push it one step further out just to help him get the middle ground, and we started making practice swings and full swings doing this. So after a few swings back and forth, I got him taking the alignment stick away and just placing it on the ground, not quite straight down the target line like this here, almost just on an ever so slight angle, as if we were to swing on the outside to inside on the way through. And this was just a good almost baseline for him, just to get the feeling and sensation of, right, that's where it needs to be as I take the club back in the start of the golf swing, the takeaway move here. And you can see that's quite severely on the outside. The good thing is that the hands are staying nice and close, and we'll notice the massive benefit of us feeling that motion there, trying to encourage the club to go a little bit further out than we want to later on in the full swing when I show you the after videos and everything else as well. So then I just got Dan hitting a couple of shots after that, feeling that motion there and just swinging through like so. And what we noticed was a couple of strikes were still a little bit out the hosel side. It was quite difficult to get that solid strike, get the ball up in the air just for these simple chip shots, 20 to 30 yard shots I mentioned to him. To help with this, we started to encourage the feel that we want in the follow-through stage. And this feel is all to do with what I explained to him being the swing arc. And the swing circle works around the body, like so, back and forth. And what I explained to him was that the club should not be pushed towards a target like this here. If the club's going to work round in a circle, that club's got to eventually travel like this here, round and to the left of me here, being a right-handed player, as opposed to pushing outwards towards the target. When we push the club outwards towards the target, we end up hitting those shanks anyway. So this is one of the other influences of the shanks. If you're someone that's really struggling and trying to get that club to work towards the target, stop doing this and just try this little move instead. Once he set the club in this position here, we'd get the hands and hips firing towards the wall behind us. So hips start first and the hands work towards that left hip there. And that's going to encourage the hands to be in more control, the club face there on the way through. But also, what are we doing here from this position? We're dragging the hands closer to us. So we're less likely to hit the shanks. We're less likely to have that shank outcome because the hosel end, well, the entire club head is working closer to us. So we're actually more likely to hit the toe of the club, which didn't happen because we're not quite used to doing this and hitting the middle of the club. What we noticed was we saw much straighter and more compressed iron shots. The strike location improved from the hosel all the way up to the centre of the club face. So we're getting much closer, and then eventually we managed to get it to the centre just before we moved on to fuller swings. Now the next point, we noticed that obviously if we have a look at the before video here, Dan had the tendency from this point here, the underplane takeaway move, to continue on that motion and get a little bit stuck here with the lead arm solidly underneath the right shoulder. Our aim was to try and get the lead arm covering the right shoulder at the top of the swing, because this is going to be a good indication for him that we were going to have plenty of room to now get the hands working left towards this left hip as the left hip rotates away and through to target. So to be able to do this, I just got Dan takeaway move, and from here we just got the feeling of the club going over the right shoulder, and this immediately almost like switched on a light bulb. We just noticed straight away that as we started making a few really good practice swings doing this, we were getting a little bit more turn, a little bit more rotation, bigger backswing, much higher, more powerful position at the top of the golf swing. And you can see there, just from me doing this motion, it's making it very easy for me to get this rotation into the top of the swing. So we're actually adding more pressure into the trail side of the body whilst doing this. So takeaway, club going over the right shoulder, and on the way through the feeling was the hands, well, the hips firing in the downswing and the hands following, working left and through. And we still hold it off the finish like this for a couple of shots. We made those fuller swings, swinging up to the top, so feeling of 1, 2, 3 like this here, but just trying to feel like we're just going to hold it off in this position here, just to really encourage this rotation to take place from that left hip working towards the wall, and those hands dragging through and following through to the left like this here. So what we've done so far is we've completely changed that swing path. We've gone from swinging on underplane and two connected and then having to push the club out last minute to swinging slightly more on the outside, taking the club up to the top of the swing in a relatively connected position, and then we're allowing those hips and hands to fire left on the way through. So we're actually encouraging more of the feeling of an out to in swing path, just to help him correct his fault and stop those shanks in his golf game. Just before we bring in the final change I made with Dan's golf swing that helps him gain that 47 yards with just his 7-9, I just want to give a quick shout out to GX Golf. GX Golf provide high quality golf clubs for a fraction of the price in comparison to the rest on the market. If you're sick and tired of seeing your premium golf club rip after 1 or 2 rounds, I'd highly recommend checking them out using my discount code below, Harry 10. I've been using these for the last couple of months, very impressed with them, really pleased with the quality, so recommend checking them out. The final thing we did once we started implementing this into almost full swings was just to create a little bit more room again at the setup position. To finish off with, we just got down setting up. Obviously we've got him setting up slightly further away from the golf ball, but just to finish off, we noticed the shaft angle getting a little bit too low like this here. So this is going to encourage already the club to get a little bit too close to us if we don't quite get that takeaway working on the outside. I just got the hands working upwards like this here, just a couple of inches higher, just to help him set up a little bit more taller to the golf ball, and that now gives him plenty of room to take the club back and through in the full golf swing. So full golf swing, we just started ramping up the speed, thinking about those motions. So for setup slightly further away from the golf ball, lifting the handle up like so, take away for 1 in the golf swing, and then club over the right shoulder for 2. And the final part was left hip going towards the wall behind us and getting the hands working in that same direction, getting the hands to follow that hip round and left. And we noticed again distance starting building up, and the strike was absolutely pure, massive difference with that 7-9 and through just like that one there. And that was pretty much the actual outcome that we noticed for Dan at the very end of the session. We noticed that slight little push in his golf game, as opposed to the bad ones that he mentioned to me at the start were either the massive pushes out to the right or Shanks, or the hooks to the left, where we try and recover from this stuck position to make contact with that golf ball. And that is how we gained that extra 47 yards. Here's the start and here's the end. So I'd highly recommend giving these things a try if you're someone that's really suffering with the Shanks and struggles to get that distance, especially with their irons. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you've come this far and enjoyed the video. Drop a comment down below of a tips or drills video topic you'd like me to cover next, and be sure to check out this video over here if you're looking for more great tips on the takeaway. And why not check me out on Skillist if you're looking for more personalized coaching to help you further improve your game. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the very next video.